Thanks for joining us. Welcome everyone to our first ever webinar here called Inspiring Possibilities, Easter Seals, New Hampshire and Vermont Impact Sessions. Today we'll be focusing on our ECCE program, Early Childhood Centers of Excellence, ECCE. There's a dire need for more quality childcare throughout the Granite State, and we're here to tell you how Easter Seals can be a big part of the solution. You'll be hearing from four people today that you see on your screen. Hello, Maureen Beauregard, our president.
Hi.
And CEO of Easter Seals, New Hampshire and Vermont. Hello, Kristen McGuigan, Senior Vice President of Early Childhood Services. And we also have Mike Leary and myself, Jamie Staten, we're Major Gift Officers. So a couple of notes here. The session will be recorded and your audio right now should be muted. After a brief presentation by both Maureen and then Kristen, we're going to transition to a question and answer session. And when we hit the Q&A, we will transition to making everyone here a panelist. And at that point, you'll be able to see everyone on the call, and you can feel free to turn your video on if you like. That'll be after Kristen's presentation. There will be two options for asking questions a bit later in this webinar. You can use the chat function. We'll be monitoring that. And then once you're a panelist, you'll be able to raise your hand and we can call on you. And I'll remind you all of this again once we get to that question and answer session. So we're ready to get rolling. Without ado, here's Maureen Beauregard.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everyone, for being on the webinar. I'm excited to talk about Easter Seals. I've been here 5 years, and it has been a wonderful journey. Even though at the beginning there was COVID, and the effects of it were massive, we have gotten to the other side, and I feel that we are on an upward trajectory, which feels really good. Everything we do, every decision we make is always about our mission, and it feels really good to be here. When we think about Easter Seals, people often think about my sister Carolyn, who was the Easter Seal poster child back in the 70s. That's her picture behind me. And she's my why. She was a kid who needed help and came to Easter Seals. And she said if it wasn't for Easter Seals, she never would have learned to walk. And that just fills my heart and my passion and my drive here at Easter Seals. When we think about Easter Seals, it's New Hampshire and Vermont. And I have to say a bit about Vermont because it is really an amazing child welfare program that we have in Vermont. And having grown up in the foster system, worked in DCYF, it is so refreshing to see and to be a part of an organization that has such a wonderful program. In New Hampshire, we work with littles to adults, older adults, and veterans. And, every year we give away over $9 million worth of services to folks that look to us. And there are about 19,000 people that knock on our door. As an organization, we're over 150 million in revenues and expenses. And when I talk about that, that's mission impact. That's pretty awesome to be a part of something that puts that much impact out into the community. And we employ about 1,600 employees. We are not the biggest employer in New Hampshire, but we're right up there. So everything we do, is about folks with varying abilities. And I'm very proud of the work that we're doing at our early childhood centers of excellence. And, there's before COVID and after COVID, before the pandemic and after the pandemic. And the pandemic forced a lot of childcare providers out, period. It was hard to survive. And I do feel like it was survival for us. But it's really nice to be on the other side and know that we are thriving. We are absolutely thriving. And what we did is we said, okay, children with varying abilities, just like adults and others, today we're focusing on the children in the ECCEs. We are going to put our shoulder into it. We are going to look at what we've done. We are going to deconstruct and reconstruct our early childhood centers of excellence. And that is exactly what we've done. I'm very proud of the work. we're embracing children with special needs by saying our classrooms are going to have children with special needs up to 50%. It could be more. Kristen can give you more information on that. And as you know, across the state, the expense of childcare it's like a mortgage payment. I have my twins are 25-year-olds, and I remember having to pay, for two of them at the same time, and it was startling back then. And it's equally startling today. So I'm going to let Kristen really take the lead on this. We are blessed and fortunate to have her at the helm. She brings a unique.
I'm sorry, Maureen. I think you were muted for a second. I'm not sure what happened.
I
Thank
was
you.
just singing Kristen's praises because I think she does a great job. She's embraced, we really look for that future state of being the provider of first choice, really being a thought partner in this sphere. And we're looking to do a whole lot more, but Kristen's going to be talking about the program itself and other things. So thank you for the time to talk to folks.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Maureen. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen McGuigan. I'm the Senior Vice President of Early Childhood Services here at Easter Seals. I've been fortunate to be with Easter Seals for the last 2 years, and I've had this opportunity to be part of this really exciting journey with the early childhood team. It's been dynamic. It's been exciting, especially in those early phases of our strategic planning. Really, the team around me over the last 2 years has not only helped really create this really meaningful process, but it's been a ton of fun. So I'm excited to be here with you today to share about that. A lot of the leaders within our team are on this call today, and we're just excited to be part of this solution. And so when we talk about our early childhood centers of excellence, what that truly is an integrated early learning program. We're fortunate to have 2 locations in Manchester, one at our Auburn Street and the other at South Main Street in Manchester. Both of these sites are NAEYC accredited, which is the National Association of Education of Young Children. And so our services provide early learning for children 6 weeks to 5 years old. And we really have been very intentional of being able to bring children of all abilities into our site. So our goal, like Maureen talked about, is really looking at a client mix of 50% of the children in our program have an identified disability or are neurodivergent, and 50% are typically developed children. And so our goal is to really provide affordable, high quality care for our community. And we think it's a really great way to be able to bring inclusivity and provide a really rich, supportive environment for the children that we serve. Currently, right now, we have 117 children between the 2 locations. And within that, we're able to provide on-site services. So you'll see a list of the services provided right there. We're fortunate to have special educators as well as licensed providers providing physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, autism services, as well as mental health and behavioral health supports. And I'll talk a little bit more about how those are integrated into our program. As you can see on there that our wait list is 96. When I first started 2 years ago, the wait list was at about 255. We've been able to bring that down. We also right now have about 60% of the children on the wait list are identified with a disability. And so this image now really shows you what our service model is, and really highlights this holistic approach. You see the child as the center, and that is our priority, is to really understand the individual needs of children while offering this really collaborative, coordinated, holistic service. You can see these pillars kind of off to the side, really to ensure that children's well-being and development are really looked at. And so some of the ways we've been able to do that is to provide care coordination, parent education. We offer early screening and assessments for children coming into our center, as well as these community partners. Another big piece of this is really the involvement of the family system. Some of the ways we've been able to move towards this model, of course, we had to look at the workforce. We had to really target comp to be able to increase for our current teachers and really be able to improve our ability to fill vacant positions. When I first started, we had about 15 open positions. We now fully staffed and really have high quality teachers coming into our center. We've also been able to really invest in our environments, which I'll share a little bit with you, some pictures of that, implementing some new assessment tools, as well as really hiring on a director of care coordination that really looks at integrating care plans and coordinating with families of services that are on site. This next slide really talks about the benefits for the children in a program. Obviously, our goal is to create a setting where children with or without a disability can come together and learn and grow in the same environment, which really offers a wide range of benefits for both the children and the broader community. What I think is so beautiful about it is that we definitely are working towards supporting children to transition into school after they graduate from our program at 5 years old. But we really believe that we're supporting life beyond school. We're really promoting an environment that mirrors the real world, where people of all abilities live and work and interact with each other, to really create these meaningful opportunities. So this list really just showcases how children are embracing this model, building these beautiful friendships and helping empower each other through their unique and special characteristics. One of the pieces that make us a little bit different than a traditional childcare program is we're really invested in understanding those unique needs of children as well as their family system. And so we have high quality screening and assessment tools that help us identify those developmental delays, any learning disabilities, as well as behavioral concerns that we can really be able to detect early on. Our hope is that we can do that sooner so that we can see better long-term outcomes. And so when a child enrolls in our program, we provide a screening tool called Ages and Stages Questionnaire that really is looking at a wide range of areas such as communication, gross motor and fine motor, problem solving, and social and emotional skills. We just implemented a new assessment tool called Smart Teach, which allows teachers to really assess and track children's developmental growth and areas for improvement. And these tools are really allowing us to stay on track with kids and be able to do those internal and external referrals for services early on. The great thing about these as well is that the findings and the outcomes of those children's strengths and areas of challenge or developmental needs are then shared with families. We have quarterly meetings where the teachers, the providers, and the families come together to really review and plan out those goals with the treatment team. And it really allows us to monitor and support outcomes for children. Moving on to some exciting stuff in regards of environments. If anyone knows Maureen, you know that she's very passionate about having high quality environments across the agency. And part of that is really that there's research that shows this correlation between high quality environments and positive outcomes for individuals. And so for us, we're so grateful that the agency has invested in really looking at the physical, social, and emotional aspects of the environment. We really believe when we can plan and structure what environments look like, it's really going to promote safety and development for young children. So I'm going to show you a few pictures of our West Side location. So again, this is South Main Street in Manchester. And so on the left, you'll see that was what our classrooms were looking like in the beginning of our strategic planning process. And we've been really fortunate to make some changes in regards of the flooring and painting to just brighten up the environment and bring in some more of that natural light, as well as some funding through grants to have enhanced learning materials and resources within the classrooms. The next slide kind of shows, just again, we all know infants and children and teachers need lots of things. And so we need to create a place that is organized for us to be effective and efficient within our work, and really a place that the teachers and the families are really proud of bringing their children to. And the last slide is just another view of what that structure kind of looks like now. And my last slide, which I'm so grateful I get to share with you, is a story about a family that is enrolled in our East Side location. So this is Malachi and Kyler. Kyler's on the left-hand side. He is almost 5 years old, and Malachi, who is a little over 2. They began their journey with Easter Seals in July of 2024 after being on the wait list in September 2022. So this family, as you can see, mom and dad in the middle, they moved to New Hampshire from East Africa 6 years ago. They initially called due to concerns about their child's social skills and their ability to truly engage with other children. And the parents really talked to us about really needing or really seeking an environment that was really supportive, that would help their children really thrive and develop in an inclusive setting. And for us, our program really focuses again on that family-centered approach, having caregivers as really the active members. And this family has truly embraced that. Being part of our child care community has been beautiful to see, because we really believe that families bring a valuable cultural insight and experience that can really enrich the child care environment. And so within our centers, we provide bi-weekly, monthly events, and this family takes part in those, and they're really designed to foster a sense of community where parents can share resources and experiences and mutual support. So the moment that they were on the wait list, they collaborated with our care coordination team. So our care coordination team really is the first person that families have contact with to gather information about children's individual needs, as well as looking at family social determinants of health. And so when that family back in July of 2024 received the exciting news of getting into a slot, they were overjoyed, because as we saw in the chat and we've heard from people just quickly on the beginning of this webinar, is that it can take a long time to be on a wait list to really be able to access affordable, high quality care. So at the moment of enrollment, Malachi and Kyler completed those early screening tools that did show some needs for some additional support. So Malachi was able to begin some services in our early supports and services program, which is specifically for children birth to age 3. These services are provided directly in his classroom, which allows for the teachers to be able to observe those services being done by the providers, to be able to do those within the classroom when the services aren't being offered. And then Kyler began to attend outpatient services with our therapeutic team, and those were conducted on site in our therapeutic treatment rooms. And we really see that when the teachers and the providers are on the same page, really working collaboratively, the child experiences consistency in an approach, and it's much easier for them to learn and apply those skills. And so we continue to offer ongoing communication and those wraparound meetings with the family to make sure that everyone's on the same page with the language and the messaging that we're offering to the children. So now, nearly a year later, the progress they've made has just been tremendous. I saw this family in the hallway the other day, and big smiles on all of them. So much love and excitement for the partnership and collaboration that they have with the teachers as well as the directors on site. The parents are thrilled because they're really seeing that their children are learning new skills, becoming much more confident in that social setting. And most importantly, their speech and their language skills have extremely improved. Looking ahead, the family is definitely open to additional supports and services, as there may be a potential for further diagnosing for these children. But I really believe that the team's strength is providing support to the families to maintain a focus on children's abilities rather than a label. And so we're going to continue to work with this family and ensure that services truly wrap around them. And so for me, this story is a true testament of the power of patience, the power of collaboration, as well as having the right support systems in place for children. And so our team is truly proud to be part of the success of their story here at Easter Seals.
Awesome. That was amazing, Kristen. Thanks so much. What a beautiful family. Do they walk through the door with those smiles every day, just like that?
So big.
They seem like a super happy family. So we've reached the question and answer portion of this webinar. So what's going to happen over the next minute or two is each of you will be made a panelist so that you can see everything at the top of your screen. When that happens, for a split second, it may look like your webinar is being closed out or the screen is going dark. That's just the transition. Hang with it, and then you will pop up as a panelist in short time. And again, if you want to ask a question once you're a panelist, you can just hit the raise your hand function and we'll call on you, or you can type your questions into chat, and we're going to get rolling with a couple of those right now. And Kristen, you had been talking about the developmental screenings, quarterly parent meetings for students. Courtney wanted to know, do you provide those for all students or just those with identified disabilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, that is for everyone that's enrolling. So Again, those screening tools happen at enrollment, and then every 6 months we're monitoring those. So yes, for us, it's a way that we're constantly screening and evaluating, but it also gives great feedback for families to see where their children are and the things that they can do to continue to support their development.
And that was using the Smart Teach program, right? How long have you been using that?
Yep, so the screening tool that we use is Ages and Stages questionnaire. The Smart Teach we just implemented that in September. And so we had the first round of kind of results and did some of those parent-teacher conferences in December.
What kind of reaction did you get from the parents?
Parents love it. Love
Yeah.
it, because it gives them really concrete, measurable things to be able to use. And it's a really great tool for teachers to feel really confident in those conversations, to feel like they're really organized in the feedback that they're providing to families.
For people who drop their child off at daycare down the street, daycare ABC 1, 2, 3, are most of those in New Hampshire, to your knowledge, using things like Smart Teach?
No, and I think that this is what helps us create these centers of excellence, is the technology that we're using to really monitor and track the children that we're serving.
Maureen, I think this might be a question for you. Pamela wanted to know, what does the future state of ECCE look like for Easter Seals?
It is our desire to do more. And I know Wyatt Davis is on the webinar, and I just need a shout out to him for really walking beside us and getting us to where we are today. So thank you, Wyatt. As we look ahead, we know that childcare is an urgent issue. It's not a little bit of an issue, it's a crisis. It is our desire to keep moving and growing, and we may have a couple of opportunities to do that in New Hampshire. You know, the issue rests with, startup cost, and when we're at a site, how much does it cost us to operate it? And we're proving that by investing in staff, by investing in place, by investing in doing all the right things for kids, that you can be successful. So we'd really like to duplicate this in other parts of the state.
Yeah, I think that was a question that Maureen that just came in from Nellie. Is there room to grow in other areas of New Hampshire? And clearly you think there is.
Oh, there's a deficit in most places for childcare. And it's, for us to do that and to do it in a way that it needs to be sustainable. And we're on a sustainability path from Manchester. And when we're looking at other places where it's a sustainable project, looking for resources to help us to kind of pay up front for some of the hard cost is critical to that. But there's definitely more room to grow. I feel that a magnificent model has been created, and Kristen and her team are in it to win it. They are fantastic.